we doing, everyone? It's race recap of Imola round two in beautiful Italy. Um, it was another interesting broadcast race, and we're here to recap all the action. And we have another special guest, Migel Crespo. Thanks for joining me, Miguel. No worries, mate. Well, let's jump straight in. Let's talk about my race, and we'll talk about your race, and then we'll talk about the incidents that happened and whatnot, which there is plenty to talk about. Um, so first, talk about a little bit about qualifying. For me, I had a rough one. I spun on my outlap, and then, as I'm sort of showing here, I spun on my first flying lap. Um, we we call this the Joshy chicane, don't we? Because I complain about it every time we come here. But it's a tough one, huh? That chicane.
Yeah, sure is. Yeah,
This
definitely call it the Joshy train.
it's funny. People take it. There's sort of two ways to take it. One, completely avoiding all curbs, so you kind of slide in the middle. And the other way is doing a bit of a Charles Leclerc and just trying to launch over the chicanes. And it's pretty sketchy doing that. The car bounces a lot. But if you get it right, I think there's a 2-3 tenths in it if you get it absolutely perfect. What is your thoughts on that? The old chicane. Which method do you take?
I just skim the outside on both right and left.
Yeah.
I just find it safer. Yeah.
So you're not getting up onto the yellow and black curbs like I am there.
No, no, definitely not. Like
Yeah.
I probably hit the first one a little bit, but
Yep.
not the second one. I feel a bit.
It
uh,
is sketchy.
Yeah.
Absolutely sketchy.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, I managed to put my second lap together. Thankfully, I was sweating a little bit coming up to the chicane, but just hit it perfectly and didn't get didn't get the bounce. I feel that the trick with hitting this perfectly is getting on throttle a little bit mid. So you can see I'm on throttle in the middle of the corner here. So just down on the down here, you can see I'm on throttle. That's the trick to keeping the car not bounce to not bounce as much. So you can see that sort of worked out pretty well there. But I ended up putting it P3. I was only um, 4/100ths of P2, and Omar Baha, who's back after, I don't know, 4 or 5 seasons off the Formula Renault, so it was good to see him in P2. Eddie in P1, who was 4 tenths up the road, like way up the road. Um, but then Jace just behind me with only 3/100ths behind me, so it was all very tight. 1/10 covered the three of us. Where'd you end up, mate? P10.
P10. Yeah.
Yeah. How did the rest of the quali go? How'd you feel with that?
Uh,
I don't think we can
I
see quali, can we, of other people? No, I don't have your quali
yeah.
laps.
No, I don't know. I just didn't feel comfortable. The whole quali session, but could have been a lot worse. But I didn't have a great first run, and then the second run a little bit cleaner. But I guess you need a bit of a first
I
times.
mean, yeah, I'm not sure how much more I had in my lap because I you can never quite push as hard on your last and one and only lap. I feel you're always at a bit of a disadvantage if you don't put in that banker lap. Um, did you get a lap in to begin with? Yeah, you got 2 laps. I see you improved by a couple tenths actually on your second lap, and that's what
Yeah.
I feel like you can always improve on your second lap, typically, at least for me. Um,
I just didn't hit the first one right, and I didn't feel comfortable from there on. I guess I was
Yeah,
just, when especially around here, it's a little bit
it's a
you lose
confidence
that
track.
confidence. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
definitely
So
confidence track. Get the rhythm going, and yeah, it's so many places in this. Every corner is a potential big mistake waiting, I think.
yeah, for sure.
Anyway, start. Been working on my starts. Thankfully, I didn't muff it. Other than I was just a bit late. It like we had the lights come on and go out quite quickly, and I just wasn't quite prepared for it. So I didn't lose position, but I definitely I definitely didn't have a good getaway, and you can see actually Jace next to me got a great start, but he was a little bit boxed in. Me being right next to him and Omar being in front sort of boxed him in here.
Yeah,
But
awkward, awkward
and
position.
this it is. And I feel like being on the inside here is actually a little bit easier than on the outside. Uh, Again, always on the inside going into T1 is a little bit easier. You can you don't risk as much and worry about someone like if you're on the outside, someone pushing you out wide or just outbraking themselves or whatever. So you don't have to be as careful. But on the outside, it's a bit trickier. And I think here in T1, there's always some shenanigans. Um, I managed to get through cleanly, like it was all good. Jace was battling behind, but then further back, I don't want to preempt things too much here, but you had an incident in front of you,
Yeah,
um, and then, oops, I went a bit too far back, sorry. What I wanted to go to Morgan. So you had an incident in front of you, and I think you were trying to be careful, and then
yes,
behind you, you got a tap from Morgan as well.
yeah, yeah. Team sandwich.
Yeah. So I think you might have been a little bit lucky to get away
I
with that.
was. Yeah.
Um, Fortunately, yeah, you were able
Was
to
a bit of,
keep
was that a
keep
bit of net
going.
code as well?
Um, yeah, yeah, a little bit. Like, I mean, it's very slight, but it's pretty much you're touching there. And you do get a little bit of a bump, but luckily you're able to keep going straight. So
I hardly
it's
felt it, but I felt it. Yeah, I was
yeah,
lucky.
there's one thing that um people don't realize, but it's so much harder starting mid pack because you're further back. By the time you get to the braking zone, there's not only like that concertina effect where you're reacting to other people braking in front of you, but you also just have way more speed coming into there. So it's just always uh, it's always trouble starting mid pack. Um, as we see here, there's sort of three, four cars that make contact. Oh, there's another one flying in there that was lucky not to make contact.
Oh my god!
Um, so
I've
oh,
only,
there
I've
was some
only just
contact.
seen that.
Yeah, so it's people don't realize, but starting mid pack is a real danger. It's probably one of the highest risk spots going into T1 mid pack um, because of those reasons. So anyway, we thankfully all made it through. Um, I maintained P3. I think you ended up gaining a spot. Jace lost a spot. So all in all, uh, pretty happy with that. I'm happy anytime um, I'm still on track facing the right direction on lap one after T1. To be honest, so
Yeah, I
that's
was
always a
definitely
good
happy
thing.
where I was.
Yeah. So you're what? I think you P9 crossing the line. Oh,
It was
P8.
sweet.
So you made up
Yeah.
a couple spots, which is
Mm.
great. Um, for me, it's I always like to ease into things a little bit. The first couple laps of my race is always a little bit tentative. just trying to find where the grip is. That change from quali to race setup, even though the changes are slight, it's more about the fuel. So you're on a heavy car and your braking distances are longer and it's just a bit more lazy. So I'm always a little bit tentative. So you can see Omar and um, Eddie pull away from me a little bit over the first couple laps. Um, but I started catching Omar lap after lap, and yeah, by lap 6, I had enough pace to go past. He also actually came on the radio, and because I was so close and he could see I was making gains on him, he said he didn't have the pace. He thought I had more pace, so he wasn't going to fight me going by, and he said, go by if you got the chance. So I had the chance there to go by. I didn't know how much extra pace I had. Um, I could tell I was closing on him and had some more pace, but I just didn't know how much extra I had. So I was a little bit nervous. I was happy to sit behind. It's like Midge. You sit behind
Oh,
somebody, and you can get pretty comfortable. Like there's no pressure, especially if there's not someone behind you. So I'm usually pretty happy to just sit there if there's not pressure behind, and just see how it plays out. But he was he was sort of egging me to go by and see what pace I had. So I did that, and thankfully I was able to start pulling a gap on him lap after lap. Um, and yeah, by three or four laps later, I was well and truly a second or two up the road. So um, this was about my race, though. I was comfortably had pace on Omar, but I had nowhere near enough pace to challenge Eddie. So I figured don't don't push I as hard as I possibly can because there's no point. I'm not going to catch Ed. The only thing I'm going to do is lose the position behind. So from here on, I was just concentrating on putting in laps and making sure I didn't bin it, which is so easy to do here. So that was my race, and I ended up P2. So I was stoked with that. Um, Not much more to
great
say
result.
really. Yeah, it was a really good result, starting P3, ending P2. Um, and relatively on merit, like there was no crashes or anything that gave me positions, so I was happy with that. But it's still Eddie is 15 seconds up the road, which I mean that's a big gap. Um, but finishing the race, Omar was 11 seconds behind me, so there's some big gaps there for people to slot into. I think with a few people out of position, maybe Yuki had some pace to challenge. He was putting in some good laps throughout the race, so that was probably and Jace as well. I think he falling behind at the start, behind Ludovic. I think that put him on the back foot a little bit, but he probably would have been up there with pace as well. Um, but anyway, that's my race. Let's go back and see how yours developed there, Miguel.
Yeah,
We'll go back to. So you
I
gained
was
a
behind
couple
Gallus, Daniel
Gallus.
Gallus. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
And you had Yuki right behind you as well, pressuring
Um,
you.
yeah, bit by bit he sort of caught up because I was just comfortable sitting behind the train there. Like I guess I was just before that I had a little off, so I regathered myself and I had the pace to catch him again. But I could see Yuki coming. Anyway, I really did think about letting him through because I knew that he'd be super aggressive. But I thought, no, because once you come back, then you have to sort of get a bit of momentum again.
Yeah,
So I just, yeah, I literally just wanted to sit and feel a bit. There's probably a long way to go as well. Like
yeah.
probably,
We're on lap 5 here.
yeah, like so far to go. So I just wanted to. hill and see how the front guys go, like in front of me.
Yep.
And they were starting to make some little mistakes, and I thought, oh, I'll just be patient. And then Yuki coming even closer, so that's where it got super interesting, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's this here where there's a bit of lock up from you. I think yeah, you went
Yeah, so
maybe a little bit deep.
I was
Um,
watching him. I wasn't watching what I was
and you went a bit wide there,
going. Yeah,
but you've popped DRS,
yeah.
and this should have been an easy pass for Yuki, but you've popped DRS and he hasn't, so he's had to slip back in the slipstream. And you did a really good job here. Knowing how aggressive Yuki is and how freaking close he likes to get,
Yeah.
it was risky. And oh man, I really hate people getting this close to me.
To be honest,
Um,
I should have let him go there. I think, but it was in the moment you go, oh no, I've got the pace. I can catch up to the front group. You know.
yep, yep, yep. It's always a tough call to make, and they've really fixed the rear net code, so getting that close isn't so bad anymore. But
Mm.
I hate people just right bumper to bumper up and against my rear because I know, maybe they just miss their braking point and they're in the back of me, or they, I don't know,
Mm.
swerve or something, and it net codes me. Like I feel like it's a bit rude being that up someone, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Because I really thought he was going to throw it on the inside here, and he didn't. Um,
and actually, I mean, Yuki, he started from the very back.
yeah.
He started 17th, and he's in P9, and it's lap 6. Um,
Mm.
so he's done well to make up the time there. But at the same time, we all know he is quite impatient, and because he does have the pace and he's out of position, he does like to push, the moves. Like, so you've both actually. That's interesting. You're both on DRS at the moment, are you? Looks like you both are. Um,
This is where it happened.
yeah. So
Okay.
this is where it happens. But here, this is great. Like, this is good racing here. You're both given plenty of room. And here is the biggest netcode I think I've ever seen. I
Biggest
mean,
card of the century. Yeah.
this is mental how bad of a netcode it is. So if we just like go through frame by frame, you're I don't know, maybe 2.5 meters from each other, maybe 2 meters,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's where you've got to hit here. I mean, ha-
Still,
look at this. This is ridiculous.
still
As I said,
still.
I think the netcode from behind has really improved. iRacing's done a great job to fix that up. It's been a real, it's pissed me off for so long that they didn't fix it, but they have. But now I feel that this side impact netcode is way worse. Um, I've never seen like something as bad as this with netcode before. But it's been a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks now. I've seen incidents similar, not as bad, but from the side where it's this bad. And yeah, I mean, what do you what? How can you race like this?
Normally, I'm pretty good in those situations because I guess, uh,
Well,
yeah, just
what else are you meant to
unfortunate.
do?
I know.
Y-
Like I
You've
did the right
given,
thing, and yeah.
you've both given a lot of room. Yuki's gone quite deep, but he's left heaps of room for you. Um,
Look at the week before, side by side with
yeah,
one of the
you had it.
Burns.
That's it. You had a great side by side with Burns, but
Yeah.
this is probably something that some people aren't too aware of either. Is um, just how much ping affects netcode. So Yuki's in Japan,
Yeah.
you're in Australia, the server is likely in the US, so that the round trip pings for everybody, you probably end up being half a second, and you travel a long way in half a second. Um, so there's something you kind of keep in the back of your mind, but you don't expect it
Yeah.
when it's like this. I mean, this is just
Uh, at the
you
heat of the
can't.
moment, like you, you don't even think about it. I guess it's a good lesson.
But again,
But
how are you supposed to race any differently? You're like, I'll give you 4 meters room rather than two. I don't know.
and I
Um,
went out. I knew he was there, but thought I'm sure I
yeah.
had plenty of room. I was
Y- y-
absolutely furious.
Oh, you would have been furious at this point because you would have thought he'd
uh,
just driven into you, and then
yeah,
he's
I
just
thought he did. I thought he did, but
yeah, and he's looped it out of there as well, which is a bit. I don't know if he got a delayed bump or he's just got on
he was on the
the
gas
throttle.
flat out.
Yeah, I think so. Which sucks because it would have meant that if that neck code hadn't have happened, you probably would have kept the position and Yuki would have looped it and you'd have been off. But that's
Mm.
a real bummer, man. I mean, there's just not much else you can do.
Nah,
I
nah. I guess it's a lesson, maybe, you know, with everyone, people
yeah,
watching, is that the ping is definitely affects. I'm in Australia, he's in Japan. Like
yeah. But it's just still. I mean,
it's a
there's just
pity.
so
Be
much
nice to
room
race
there.
normal.
That's it. It would be. There's just so much room there that it. Yeah. Look. I'm gonna clip it and send it to iRacing because they gotta sort that out. You can't be 2 meters away and get a bump like that. There's got to be
Yeah.
something else that they can do, surely.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know how to send it, but I guess it's a good idea.
Yeah. Anyway, I
Yeah.
mean this is a good intro for the next segment, which we'll go into, and we'll take a look at some more incidents.
Nothing, just an incident on the race.
So yeah, we kind of touched on this one to begin with, but at the start, there was a few little incidents off the line. So we got Shane here, who is a long way back, and I think he was just caught out a little bit by how quickly Dennis stopped in front of him, and just a little love tap, but it was enough to spin him around. And then, just unfortunately, the cascade effect was that you slowed down to avoid it. Morgan went into you, but again, luckily, you stayed in the right way, and Morgan did as well, which is incredible that didn't turn into a massive pile-up. But I guess you were lucky. You were on borrowed time, I think, Miguel. Yeah,
I've had luck not long enough. Like my luck's
yeah,
run out.
yeah,
Actually, that weekend was terrible.
yeah. That's right. You had one the day before as well,
Yeah.
but I think Shane managed to keep it in one piece, so not all was lost there. But we go. Lap one is a menace for incidents. I wanted to talk about this one. It's a bit of an unusual one as well, but the reason I wanted to talk about it, not to call Jamie out, but it was something I was super concerned with all weekend on lap one. I mentioned it, I think to you, Miguel, maybe the day before. Is like,
Yeah.
what's this one? Is this Rivaz? No, this is Piratella. It's a fast left-hander, and usually you just lift off the throttle on entry, brake a bit, turn in, and then get back on throttle, almost full throttle straight away. But on lap one, for whatever reason, oh, okay, I thought it was something else. On lap one, I was real sketchy about this corner, but it looks like Jamie's got caught out with the closing speed of the guy in front and just touched the grass, and unfortunately that was enough to send him around. Super unfortunate that. But he didn't collect anybody, so that's good avoidance there, but a real shame because he was up at position 9 as well, so very unfortunate. Not much else to say really. Other than, actually, the first few incidents have all been people being caught out by the person in front, maybe overslowing. That's a bit of a lesson and things that I'm often conscious about as well. On lap 1 is just trying to keep some distance between me and the people in front. And that's maybe to my detriment sometimes. You saw on the opening laps that Omar was a long way ahead, but I'd rather be a long way behind than too close and find myself in the back of somebody or trying to avoid hitting somebody and going off. So,
I mean,
again,
a good buffer, it would be probably what?
Yeah, I tend to keep about 3 to 4 tenths. And that's because ping time and reflex time, right? So your reflexes are usually a couple hundred milliseconds. And then our pings are probably around 150 as well. So that's about what you can react to and not be in the back of somebody. I'm not sure if you operate any differently.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. Maybe a bit more.
Yeah.
4 to 5 tenths, like just so I've got enough braking room in case someone brakes in front of me.
Yep.
Earlier, it's how it is, like someone's going to brake in a group. Someone's going to brake a lot earlier.
Yeah, that's it. And especially on lap 1 when everyone is close, it's a hard thing. You want to stay close because you want to take an opportunity to get positions, but more often than not, you end up in the back of somebody, don't you? Or trying to avoid somebody and going off. It's actually, you can see the guys ahead. They're right up there, and it just makes me so nervous when somebody's that close to me on lap 1. But anyway, let's head off to. Well, we just did your unfortunate incident. So we don't have to recap that. But let's go to Jace on lap 14, I think it is. So Jace, unfortunately, caught a bit of grass into the braking zone on T1 and had to cut across the sand. So he went from, I think it was P5 to now P8. Yeah. So he's down the order a little bit. And where is he? He's coming up on Dylan. He doesn't quite have him this lap, so he's waited till the next one. Still a bit too far back to make a move, but he's getting closer here. And then he's got a really good run on Dylan. He's got the DRS. He's flat out. Challenging into the braking zone. So this, man, you would have had some flashbacks here. But they're both given room. Jace is too far back now, but he's compromised his exit really badly because he's on the inside. But then he's got James behind him who's not anticipated it and just gone into the back of Jace here. And that's, again, this is something I think about a lot when I'm behind a gaggle of cars, or especially, two people fighting over position. You want to get closer because there's an opportunity to get a sneaky position, but at the same time, you're putting yourself into someone else's situation that can go wrong, either them coming together and then it's going to take you out, or just somebody here like Jace is compromised on exit and he's not thinking about somebody else coming up to try and steal a spot. And that's when he's got a nudge there. It's a little bit of net code, but again, James is just way too hot in there. And then there's a massive net code after they've touched there.
Because Jason was saying that Bill had a slight gap behind James, but he didn't expect it. Obviously, he slowed down so much. Section.
Yeah.
He come up so quickly that he didn't see him.
Yeah, I mean, the speed differential is going to be
It's
obvious,
massive.
right? Like, these guys are side by side. They're worrying about each
Exactly.
other and not, pushing each other off. And Jason's really compromised here, so he's tight to the next corner apex. So he's got to slow down, and he's always going to drift out wider.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And then
Speed up.
yeah, you're not expecting somebody else to come up. I mean,
No.
at this point, James just has to back out, really,
Yeah.
because the gap's going to close pretty
it's just-
quickly.
For him, bit of a head rush. He thought he had position, and
Yeah, well, from his, like I said, you think, okay, cool, I'm going to have a position here and be able to get round, but it's
that was never going to happen. Anyway.
nah. You always, coming from behind, you got to just be careful. That they just, like I said, you're involving yourself in somebody else's battle, and they're not thinking about what you're doing. And anything can happen there. So it's Jace is sort of. I mean, he's
Can't
he's
do
just
anything more.
he's just exiting the corner, not
That's
noticing.
his fault.
Yeah. So that really sucks. In the wall, very heavy impact. So he had a race to forget, unfortunately. But now we'll go on to the final one, and this is a return to our friend Yuki, who, as I said, he started at the back. He worked his way up to 8th by lap 4. He's had an incident with had an incident with you on lap 7, and he's gone back to 12th. And then he's made pass after pass, working his way back, trying to recover a race. So he's position 9 now, so he's almost back to where he was when he had the incident with you. Was he now P8? So he's had a good recovery drive, considering how many times he's had incidents and spins and whatnot, and he's closing in on James. And you can see he's right at the back of him. Lap 22. What is there? 26 laps, I think, in this?
Yeah.
Or 24? Yeah. 26. And he's really getting aggressive. He's sticking his nose in. He's showing James, himself in the mirror, like just getting in his mirrors, moving around a lot, just trying to force maybe a bit of a mistake. But also, he does aggressive stuff like this. And now, you would have had, this was something that you had yesterday.
Saturday.
On Saturday, sorry. With actually James.
Yeah.
Who was in Yuki's spot and you were in James's spot. The difference here is Yuki manages to keep it on the track and James didn't, and he took you out. That was almost identical. Yuki pulled it up in time. But I don't know why people do those moves. You've got a long straight here, which if you just keep close enough, you'll make an easy pass rather than doing a massively risky attempt at a pass in Rivalza 1. Like, I just don't understand that mentality. See, he's made a really easy pass here where he attempted a very risky move into Rivalza 1. It's cool when it works, right? So he gets past, but I think he he's made it. He's made a small mistake here. He's just getting on power, and then he's straight back behind
Oh, okay.
James. Yep. So now he's coming up here again. We're swapping it around,
Oh God.
but James has hung in there this time, and he's managed to hold on, and now they both exiting here side by
Oh,
side.
wow.
Now this ends up being one of the most weirdest things I've ever seen.
Actually, there you go. Look at that. It turned into you.
Like,
I thought it was the opposite.
no, you watch though. I think they're both like
Oh.
Yuki is
Weird.
drifting away from the line a little bit, and
Yeah, a little
James
bit, but
is
even
drifting
over.
Although I don't know, like it looks. I gotta see the steering wheel.
Yeah, definitely.
He's turning right a little bit, and yeah, look,
Yeah. Okay.
let's have a look. Oh shit! I went back to the frickin' wrong button. I go back to the laps. That it's such a weird one to me though.
Yuki was trying to hugging the wall.
Yeah, I just want to see Yuki's steering input. What? Nah. I don't know what. Yuki is going straight, but there's a corner there. There's a corner coming up. There. And usually you kind of are aiming that way anyway. I tend to hug that side.
Yeah.
But it looks like they're both doing the same thing. They're both... yeah, James is aiming for that corner as well. James has sort of got it slightly... So you can see the steering slightly angled
To
a
the
little
right.
bit. Probably looking again. There's a corner coming up, so let's go that way. But they're just driving into each other. I mean...
Yeah, actually, you're right. It's like they both drove into each other. Maybe Yuki was trying to block him, and then I don't know.
Yeah, look, it's such a dumb accident. I don't know what else to say other than it's such an unnecessary, dumb accident.
Yeah,
that
and Burns
they were
was trying
both-
to get into the draft, and they both collided into each other.
Were they just... I don't know if they were trying to squeeze each other, or... I mean, it looks like Yuki comes across from James's angle.
Yeah, it does.
There.
On the front, it does. Yeah.
But then you look at Yuki's, and it kind of looks like...
Yeah.
Look, he's doing this. He's going straight there, right? But James is sort of following more the line.
Yeah.
Look, they both because
Wacky
it's
races.
because it's rear wheel to front wheel. I don't know what to make of it. Like, I don't know who's more at fault here. Yuki should be turning a little bit more.
He's on the right line. He's turning a little bit to the left, but Burns is going to the right.
Yeah. And typically you would be more to the right. If I was Yuki, I would be more to the right.
Go back a little bit. Fast forward. Looking at a line on the
Yeah. So he's getting a bit further away from this line here. Like, he's getting a bit further away, so he ends up sort of out a bit further.
Definitely James is coming over too, though.
Yeah, so he's keeping straight, but because it's curved, he should be turning a little bit more, I would think. Look,
Anyway,
it's a dumb accident that shouldn't have happened, that ruined both their races and ruined.
I think James misread going into the draft, and then Yuki was probably trying to come over a little bit to maybe block his line, a little bit, tiny, not a lot, and then it's really a wacky accident.
Yeah, look, I think it sort of typified both their races, to be honest.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
both
yeah.
of them had been involved in some incidents earlier. Just not giving the space. You know what? Like Alonso said, you must leave her the space. Always leave her the space. But if you're not leaving space, this shit happens. And it's so unnecessary, and it completely destroys a race. So look, I'm not sure who's more to blame here or not. Maybe you can leave a comment. People can make up their own mind and leave a comment to what they think. But
I think from this view, you can see exactly what both of them were doing.
Yeah, both of them. What's the saying? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, or something like that. So yeah, like, I don't know. It's much more to say, but if you want to follow that line there, you can. But
yeah.
But I don't know, man. It's just so silly.
It's a head scratcher, that one.
And yeah, completely unnecessary. So I don't know. My advice, not that Yuki needs it, but my advice to Yuki is take it down 5%, and I reckon he'd be up, at the front end every week if he just took it down that few percentage points, didn't take as many risks. He'd be right there. And to James, just leave some more space there, man. Again, a few less risks, a little bit more patience, you'll end up with better results. It's a weird thing. Sometimes you got to go slower to go faster. That's. I can't believe you
got out of that wall.
He got out of the wall.
Watching the replay. He was so determined to get out of that. He was so determined.
They both are, and then he did. Incredible. And he ended up finishing the race. Like, he ended up doing a lap.
Yeah, I passed him around the back.
Which, I mean, just amazing. Anyway, look, there we go. That was the Imola, what is it called? I don't even know the long name of the track. The Autodromo Enzo Dino Ferrari. Yeah, that was the race. So yeah, I mean, unfortunate for both you and Jace, and a few other people. Obviously, had some bad races. Had a bad race, but yeah, I'm stoked on the P2. So it's been a good start to the season. P3, P2. So
yeah, that's a great result. And what, 40 points behind Ed?
Yeah, so in the championship, I'm 39 points behind Ed. It's going to take a fair effort to try and beat Ed. But you never know, some
Anything
DNFs, some whatnot. So
he's
he's
certainly pretty good the first laps, and then
quality. In terms of race pace, I don't have it for him at most tracks. I can get close and sometimes beat him over one lap in quali at some tracks, but when it comes to race pace, he's able to just get the maximum pretty much out of the car almost every lap, and that's very hard to do for 26 laps in this car. So
big time.
yeah, But you know what? I'm happy with the step in performance that I've got and where I'm at now. So
Yeah,
I'll
amazing.
keep chipping away. But yeah, it's Fuji this week. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make this weekend's race, but we'll give it a go. But how are you finding it?
I guess quite an interesting track. I've never, obviously, not everyone's been around the track yet, and have doing a few laps. It's fun. It's technical. It's fast. Um, great. I love it, but you can make a lot of mistakes on
Yeah,
track. A lot of
yeah,
mistakes, and if you're not on it all the time, especially the front and the back half of the track, because it's quite fast in the middle.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it should be interesting. It's to be honest, it kind of reminds me of a little bit of Laguna because windy. It's got quite a lot of camber corners and
yeah. It's definitely got like some very technical parts at the end of the lap. So that second half of the lap is quite technical.
yeah,
And then
braking.
and what complicates it though is that very long straight as well,
Mm,
because it means you need some good top end,
mm,
but you need a lot of downforce in that
yeah.
second bit, but then you need a lot of mechanical grip in the third bit where it's quite slow. So it's yeah,
Mm,
quite
um,
going to be interesting.
yeah, definitely got to get your braking game on the ball.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
cool. Should be
yeah, it
good.
should be good. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Something new track to give a go. But
Yeah, it'll be
yeah,
fun.
well, thanks for hanging out, Mitch. Pity about your race, but there's always this week, so
Oh
let's go
man, I've
get
had
it,
a good
Tiger.
run for a few
Yeah,
weeks, and you know, I can't have every week going smoothly. Especially here's always a funny one for me. Anyway.
yeah,
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. It was fun. It was
yeah.
good.
It's good to chat through,
Great.
man. All right,
Yeah,
dude.
definitely.
Well, I'll catch you this week at Fuji on Saturday. I'll definitely make that one, and then
Yep.
hopefully the broadcast on Sunday. So
Yeah, yeah, cool. No
cool.
worries. Excellent.
Till then,
Thanks,
take it easy,
Joshy.
brother. No worries, mate.
See you, mate.
Bye.
No worries. Bye.
Believe me when I say that I hate you. And I loved you once, but I can't take the abuse. We spread our words with all grievous intent. There's no wonder why we're so discontent. Dive head onto him and all. Yeah. Tell you to go ahead. Yeah. I think you're already there. I just need some time to clear my head. But you insist that we should talk instead.